So I'm a member of Toastmasters. For those who don't know what Toastmasters is, it's a public speaking platform where you go along to practice your public speaking, and I've really been enjoying it. And I gave a lovely speech last night that was really well received, so I thought I might post that on here. It's a little away from my current theme on YouTube, but hey, that's okay. My speech is entitled Being Your Authentic Self. Being your authentic self. Well, it sounds pretty easy. You're born, you learn to walk, you go towards the things that you like, you build hopes and dreams, and you fulfill all your desires, right? Isn't it that easy, Andy? Who knows? Maybe it is for some people. I think for a lot of us, though, life is a little bit like driving a car. You're the one behind the steering wheel, you're the one working the accelerator and the brake. But next to you might be your old mother who's saying, "Watch out, Andy, watch out, you're going too fast. Weren't we supposed to turn left back there?" Behind you is your geography teacher. My geography teacher had this wonderful comb over. And on field trips, it would always be getting blown back and it'd always be sweeping it over. Andy, what are we doing in the city again? You said we were going to the country today. I thought we were going to be looking at glacial terrain. What's going on? And next to him is your best mate saying, "Andy, what do you mean you're not going to join the rugby team? You're a Kiwi, aren't you? You've got to play rugby." Yes, we're driving the car, but you've got lots of other voices telling you where you should go or how you should drive. I had quite an unusual upbringing. My dad was an irrigation and agriculture specialist, but he was first and foremost a preacher. My parents were what you call evangelical Christians, which means that they feel that it's their duty to take the message of Jesus to the world. Evangelical Christians generally believe that you should have a very personal relationship with Jesus, that you ask him into your heart, that he becomes your best friend and your guide, and you spend a lot of time in prayer and reading the Bible. So it's a very committed form of Christianity. When I was 7 years old, my dad's work with World Vision took us to Ethiopia. He was building a village and gardens to feed 6,000 Somalian refugees who had been displaced due to famine at the time. So we were in Ethiopia, close to the Somalian border, working with the Ethiopian government. And would you believe there was a war going on between Ethiopia and Somalia at the time? So talk about throwing us straight in the deep end. Unfortunately, the whole project got bombed soon after we left. We moved on from there to Kenya, to the Democratic Republic of Congo, and then to Papua New Guinea. My dad loved preaching. He must have preached in more than 1,000 churches for sure, in more than 30 countries, I'd say, because the other thing he loved was traveling. He wanted to see every country in the world before he died. And every time he spoke at a church when we were younger, first of all, my mum would get on the piano, if there was one. Otherwise, she'd just sing with us, because me and my siblings, my older brother Leighton, myself and my two younger sisters, Sherry and Melody, would all stand in a neat row from tallest to shortest and sing songs. Songs like "From the rising of the sun to the going down of the same, the Lord's name is to be praised." We did that in I don't know how many churches until I stood up and said, "Dad, I'm done with this. I don't want to do this anymore." And my siblings all chirped in with, "Yeah, we don't want to do this anymore." And there was me standing up for myself, being my authentic self, saying, "I want to do it differently." When I was 13, I remember my brother decided that he wanted to get baptized. So as an evangelical Christian, it's quite normal to get baptized to affirm your faith when you believe that your relationship with Jesus is really going well and you feel like it's a solid relationship. You get baptized to affirm your faith. So Leighton said to Dad, Dad, I think I want to get baptized. And my dad said, oh, that's a great idea. In fact, why don't we baptize all the kids at the same time? I remember my two sisters saying, hey, that sounds great. But me, being the black sheep of the family, said, no, not for me. Sorry, guys. No, I'm not in. It's tough being the black sheep of the family sometimes. For any of you that are the black sheep of your family, well, my heart goes out to you. But also, I take my hat off to you, because the black sheep of the family tends to be the one that's on the cutting edge, the one that's doing things differently, the one that's deciding things for themselves. So keep on doing that. We returned to New Zealand when I was 16, and not too long after that, I can remember saying to my dad quite casually, Dad, I'm looking into Buddhism at the moment. That looks like a really interesting religion. He looked at me sternly and said, why would you do that, son, when you already know what the true religion is? It was one of those moments when I thought, right, do I pull my head in and toe the party line? Or do I stand up for myself and be my authentic self? I responded to my dad with, Dad, you're 46 and you've decided what's right for you and you've chosen your religion, and that's great. But I'm just 16. I'm just starting to look around. His response to that was something like, can't remember exactly, but he wasn't too happy with that. As the years went on, I noticed that he'd kind of forgotten that conversation and was just quietly pretending, assuming that I was a committed Christian. So I knew that I had to really make my stand and make it clear to him that I'd chosen my own path. And I chose my words carefully, and it was a hard thing to say to my dad because I sure did love my dad. I said to him, Dad, you're always talking about how we need to invite Jesus into our hearts to be saved. Well, for me, when I left Jesus behind me, that's when I felt saved. It was a hard thing for him to hear, of course. And I didn't want to hurt him, but I knew I had to stand up for myself and be my authentic self. I had a wonderful relationship with my dad. It was quite an adventure growing up with him. The things we got up to in all these interesting countries. We lived in the Republic of Congo, where there were pygmies in the forest up in the hills there. We used to go up there. We chased rhinos, and rhinos chased us in safari parks in Kenya. Dad found a spitting cobra in the laundry one time when we were living in Ethiopia. I've got countless stories that are not exactly normal everyday life. But next to that, Dad always had a yacht, and we sailed his yacht over open seas and around beautiful coastlines. And Dad and I also built houses together. He was a great builder, and I'm a builder as well by trade. And we have a family farm in New Zealand, so I ended up living there for a number of years, and we would fix the fences, and we would fill the hay barn with hay and move the cows. And we loved doing these things together. And as he got older, I wanted to get to know him more, and we would go for walks on the beach, and I would ask him questions about his youth and that kind of thing. My dear old dad. He died just over a year ago. I sure do miss that guy. About a year before he died, we were walking on the beach. And he said to me, Andy, I can see that we believe in the same God. It somehow meant so much to me to hear him say that. Part of me wanted to respond, but Dad, that's because there only is one God. It's just that there's many ways to God. But I knew that if I said that, I'd be starting an argument again, and he'd have to stand up for what he believed. So I just let that be. Andy, I can see that we believe in the same God. I just thought that was beautiful. Because, you know, at the same time, the apple hadn't really fallen so far from the tree. From my dad, I had inherited a strong sense of belief and optimism, capability, and good social skills. So even though I wanted to say things differently and see things differently, I still inherited so much wisdom and good ethics from my dad. And you know, at the end of the day, I think he really loved and respected me more because I was my authentic self. He was his authentic self. So in a way, he passed that on to me as well. Thank you for listening.